Hey guys, check out Italian Wine Unplugged 2.0, brought to you by Mama Jumbo Shrimp, a fully updated second edition, reviewed and revised by an expert panel of certified Italian wine ambassadors from across the globe. The book also includes an edition by Professore Attilio Scienza, Italy's leading vine geneticist. To pick up a copy today, just head to Amazon.com or visit us at mamajumboshrimp.com. Welcome to this special Italian wine podcast broadcast. This episode is a recording off Clubhouse, the popular drop-in audio chat. This Clubhouse session was taken from the Wine Business Club and Italian Wine Club. Listen in as wine lovers and experts alike engage in some great conversation on a range of topics in wine. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. And remember to subscribe and rate our show wherever you tune in.
Okay, hello everybody. How is everybody? My name's Stevie Kim. I am here with Laika today. Ciao, Laika.
Ciao, Stevie. How are you?
She's just sitting right next to me because we'll be doing a tag team today. I have a meeting. I was double booked, but I will start this Clubhouse. Ciao, Michele.
Ciao, Stevie. How are you?
How are you? Come stai?
Oh, bene, bene. I'm here in the southwest of England. Actually, I'm doing this Clubhouse from Cornwall, which is quite, yeah. I just got here for, a couple of days of staycation, as they call them nowadays, and just relaxing. And we have a lovely weather. As you know, I've been in the UK for 10 years now, and as you know, since very well Mark Millon.
Yeah.
Here, people are quite fanatic about weather and weather forecast. So I think I'm becoming like them, Stevie.
Oh, great! Listen, how has the weather been by you, like in England and? By you?
Well, for me, since I come from Italy, it has been amazing because sunny, 25 degrees, but many of my friends, British friends, have already started to complain that it's getting too hot and too dry. So
that's pretty funny.
It's a different point of view, I guess.
Okay, so for those folks out there today, this is called the Ambassador's Corner, and it's more like a fireside chat style, where we have one of our ambassadors at large. Today, for example, it's Michele Longari. And he is a VIA Italian wine ambassador. He got acclimated actually in the London edition. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yes,
I think
indeed.
about less than a year ago, right? It was July, I recall.
Yeah, July 2022, yes.
Yeah, so Michele actually participated because sometimes we also do let's call it a satellite edition abroad. And we did it in London last year. And Michele participated and he was happily acclimated as the Vinitaly International Academy Italian Wine Ambassador status. So, Michele, tell us a little bit about what you do right now in terms of the wine business, what your role is.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I've been living in the UK for almost 10 years now. Mm-hmm. And for the past 8 years, I've been working for a small independent wine importer called Haywise. And basically, within the company, my main role is purchasing director. So basically, I am directly managing all our direct imports from Italy, France, and Spain. But I also, take care of our portfolio, make sure that is consistent also for all the main trends going on in the market and also for all the other parts of the world. And as you mentioned, less than a year ago, I did the Via Agile Edition in London, and it was like an amazing experience. And I met a lot of very nice people there that are still, I would say, my friends nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the UK wine market is a vibrant wine market because you have wine literally coming from all around the world. And I guess as an Italian guy doing this job in the UK, I also had the opportunity to find different ways to promote and communicate Italian wine, because obviously the diversity that we have with Italian wines is something that is very unlikely to see anywhere else in the world.
So the Hay wines, is it exclusively Italian wines, or is it
No,
of
it's
all wines?
Yeah, wines from all around the world, but I would say that we take a lot of pride in our Italian wine portfolio because obviously I've been taking care of the Italian wine portfolio for 8 years now, and we have little gems from the Italian peninsula that is very unlikely and difficult to find in the UK. So wines from all around the world, but obviously, let's say that I have always pushed a lot onto expanding the Italian wine portfolio. Yeah.
Excellent. Michele, where are you from originally? Modena? I can't remember. Modena or Parma?
No, Parma.
Parma.
Yeah,
okay.
Parma.
And has your family been afflicted with the rain at all? Or
No, luckily not, because the floods affected much more the eastern part of Emilia-Romagna.
Mm-hmm.
And in Parma, they had heavy rainfall, but actually they didn't have any issues at all. So we, in Parma, we have been very lucky, and unfortunately we cannot say the same for all the people from Romagna, and I have a lot of friends down there, and it was very, very, very bad, very sad.
Yeah, let's hope for the best. It's been kind of pouring everywhere. I was in Sardinia, and it was crazy rain for 3 straight days. So it's been raining all over Italy and elsewhere, I think. So going back to the show, what is today's program? You will be interviewing Giulia Pedrini.
Yeah.
And Giulia Pedrini, why did you select her as your interviewee today?
Yeah, so Giulia Pedrini is part of the family running Cantina Pravis in Trentino. And Cantina Pravis is, I would say, currently the work of 2 generations that are learning from each other and also, let's say, complementing each other. So this is very interesting. And this is very clear when you start discovering the different wines in their portfolio, because you can see at the same time wines that are deeply connected to the, let's say, agricultural tradition of Trentino, but they also perfectly coexist with wines that, let's say, have a more international style. In addition, the reason why I wanted to interview Giulia from Cantina Pravis is because Pravis, not many people know that Pravis have been leading the, let's say, the Italian avant-garde of producer, experimenting and now believing in the so-called resistant varieties that, as we know, Professor Scienza always tell us, they represent actually to some extent the future of viticulture. So actually I thought that interviewing Giulia would be very, very interesting, because at the same time we can have a chat about obviously Trentino wines, but I also would like to have a special focus on resistant varieties, because Pravis actually they are specialists in resistant varieties.
Well, Michele, how did you discover Cantina Pravis in the first place?
Well, it's a funny story, because basically when I moved here to the UK was because I wanted to do a master program in wine business management. And when I was at uni, I met a guy, Tim, and which is a very good friend of Giulia. And basically Tim kept saying a lot of very good things about Cantina Pravis and Giulia. And basically after a while, I managed to meet Giulia, actually in Verona at Vinitaly last year. And since then, obviously, I had the opportunity. I actually didn't know that they were so specialist in resistant varieties. So when I met them the first time, as I mentioned, last year in Vinitaly, it was, a bit of a shock for me to discover a wine producer that has at the same time the typical wines of Trentino, but then it has a special range of wines from resistant varieties. So since then, I always wanted to do an interview with Giulia, and I met again Giulia this year at Vinitaly, and we basically arranged to do this, and then I sent a message to Laika, and here we are.
Okay, here you are. Eccoci. So tell us, as you know, we need to outline in advance the learning objectives. So what should we expect from this call today, from you and Giulia?
As I mentioned, I think that with this talk, we could get a better understanding of the most relevant wines and grape varieties of Trentinos and their historical value. Also, I would like to get a clear view on the most crucial challenges that wine producers from this region are facing right now, which I think is a very hot topic. And as I mentioned, obviously get insights and more detail about resistant varieties and understand why producers like Pravis have been basically investing a lot of time and money on this kind of grape varieties for the past 20 years. So I think it would be very interesting to hear from an actual wine producer why they decided to go down this path, which is obviously was very risky 20 years ago.
Okay, excellent. So I will now give the mic over to you, Michele, and then Laika is going to take over. Okay, so we will come back to you towards the end of the show, and then you can to see if there are any questions. Okay?
Okay.
Ciao Michele,
perfect.
ciao Giulia.
Ciao Stevie, grazie. Okay, hello everyone, and ciao Giulia, are you here? Can you hear me?
Ciao Michele, ciao everybody.
Ciao Giulia. So I just want to give a brief introduction about yourself to the other listeners. We can say that Giulia basically was literally born to do this job because basically the story of Giulia in the wine industry starts very, very, very early when she was basically a baby, a little girl, when she was playing with her dolls in the wine cellar while her father was actually making wine. And I always found very interesting that Giulia told me that basically she never even considered doing anything else with her life rather than working with wine. And in order to do that, she went, she had a deep focus in her studies because she basically took a degree as enotecnico from the Istituto Agrario of San Michele. And then she went off to London to do the WSET diploma. And once she had done that and she got back to Italy, she basically understood immediately that if she wanted to make a change and have a clear impact in her family business, she had to fill some gaps of knowledge in marketing and management. So she went back to uni, and she also took a degree in business management. Currently, Giulia is mainly dealing with the commercial side of the business, but obviously, since this is a family business, in particular during busy periods, in particular during harvest, she is always helping in also the production side of the business. So actually, it's very good, I think, to have a chat with Giulia because we can have a very clear view of the wine business all around, because in this way, I think it will be even more meaningful to the listener. So, Giulia, did I describe your, let's say, role in the business correctly?
Perfectly, yes.
Yeah.
Correctly.
Okay, so I would say actually we'll immediately start with our chat because there are many different things I would like to cover with you. So let's start from the beginning with a brief introduction of Pravis. So, as I mentioned before with Stevie, Pravis is currently seeing two different generations working together. Can you tell us a bit more about your estate, its story, and basically how is it managed nowadays?
Sure, but first of all, thank you very much for inviting me here. It's really a pleasure for me. And then, yes, Pravis Winery is my family business winery and is located in the Valle dei Laghi in Trentino region. It was founded in 1974 by my father and two friends. In fact, after completing their studying in enology, their dream was to promote our territory with a private winery. It started really as a game with a stainless steel tank and 2 barrels in my grandfather's garage. So really a super game. The company gradually expanded, and today we produce around 200,000 bottles on 36 hectares of vineyard here in the valley. Today, the winery is managed by us, the second generation. So me and my sister, we take care of the winemaking and the marketing, while Silvio and Alessio, children of one of the other founding partners, handle the viticultural aspect. Our parents, I have to say, they have done a really great job of empowering us, of instilling a love for wine in us since we were super young. I remember when I was something like, 4, 5, and we were always tasting wines at home. And my father used to tell me, put your finger in and tell me what you can feel. So since the beginning, I've been drinking since I was very young, let's say that. But they really continue to offer their silent support to the company, giving us confidence and encouraging us always to do better and better.
Thank you very much, Giulia. And actually, I must say that the way a lot of people actually start this job is thanks to this kind of experiences in their family, because obviously if you start at a very early age, it's much, I think, easier to get passionate like we are, I would say. So you mentioned that obviously Pravis is positioned in the Valle dei Laghi. Can you tell us something more about your area specifically and what makes it so special when it comes to wine?
Yeah, Valle dei Laghi is a valley located in southwestern Trentino, known actually for its strong viticultural vocation due to its unique pedoclimatic characteristics. In fact, the influence of the Garda Lake, which is super close, is like less than 20 kilometers away from us, and the other 7 lakes that we have here in the area create a kind of Mediterranean climate. In fact, we are in the last European parallel, to give you an idea, where olive trees are cultivated. And in our forest, we have old oak, which honestly have really a little to do with the Dolomitic climate. The soil that we have here is divided between the Dolomite soil, which is actually carbonate of calcium and magnesium, so a soil super rich in minerals and perfect for white wine production or red wine production, such as the Pinot Noir, for example. And on the other part of the valley, we have alluvial silt in the Sarka Valley, which is the valley that goes to the Garda Lake. The most important thing in our valley, I would say, which is crucial, is the Ora del Garda. The Ora del Garda is the wind that blows daily from the lake through our valley, ensuring exceptional grape health and really, again, a unique kind of climate.
Yeah, I think that actually Valle dei Laghi is very, very interesting because, as you said, basically it's a pocket of land with a very specific and, I would say, very different condition. And I think this makes it so interesting. So I think this introduction was necessary to give, obviously, our listener a better understanding of the foundation of your work at Pravis. But now let's start talking a bit more about wine itself. So, first of all, can you tell us what are the main grape varieties grown by Pravis, and how would you describe, generally speaking, the styles of your wines?
Yeah, I think, and I like to say that our production is mainly divided into three periods, into three moments. In the past, with the old Trentino grape varieties, such as Nosiola, Negrara, Franconia, which represent our roots and our history. In the present, with international grapes vocated to our region, like the Pinot Noir, the Sauvignon Blanc, the Gewürztraminer, and in the future, we actually embrace the use of resistant varieties known as PV, which symbolize our growth and our adaptation to the viticultural regime. Our winemaking style primarily reflects the territory, first of all. That's the most important thing, and the characteristic of the land. And then, secondly, the grape variety. So what I always try to do when I talk about my area, when I talk about my winery, first of all, is the soil, the environment where we are, and in the second hand, the grape variety and the way that we have to enhance their natural characteristics.
Okay, thank you, Giulia. And so obviously you describe the actual identity of Pravis, that, as I was saying at the beginning of our chat, is basically divided between the traditional grape varieties and wines of Trentino, and let's say more innovative or let's say international wines. So, in your opinion, what are the wines or the type of wines or the style of wines that you think will support the growing popularity of Trentino in the coming years?
For sure, I think that for sure Trento DOC sparkling wine is indeed having a very positive effect on the popularity of Trentino region. This traditional method, sparkling wine, produced like a kind of champagne using Chardonnay, Pinot Noir, Pinot Blanc, Pinot Meunier grapes, has gained recognition both nationally and internationally for its quality and distinctive character. Furthermore, the indigenous grape varieties, which are the heart of our region, will certainly have an impact on consumers. Varieties such as Nosiola, as I said before, Negrara, but even Teroldego, Marzemino, they have a unique kind of flavors and characteristics that reflects the local terroir and winemaking tradition.
Yeah, I think that Trento DOC is definitely something that not only obviously in the national market in Italy, but also abroad is becoming more and more popular, because I think that obviously Trentino has the perfect condition to make top quality traditional method sparkling wine, and I agree that actually could be something like creating a Trento as Trentino, and obviously all the other wines and varieties will obviously have benefits from this. Giulia, I think we had also a chance of discussing about this in Verona when we met in Italy this year. We were discussing that basically is getting basically very clear that climate change is bringing every year more and more challenges for wine producers. I wanted to ask you, how is climate change, let's say, changing your approach to viticulture, and also what kind of impact is this having on your style of wines?
Italian Wine Podcast, brought to you by Mama Jumbo Shrimp.
Yes, climate change is indeed a pressing issue that poses significant challenges to agriculture as a whole. For our region, cultivating at a higher altitude can help to regulate the timing of the harvest season, but for sure it cannot solve the problem of extreme weather events. I believe that in order to address this change, is very important to prevent it, first of all, by protecting the nature and what we already have. This includes limiting the use of machine in the vineyard, for example, like tractors, or reducing the emission of chemical substances. For this reason, our approach is increasingly shifting towards the cultivation of resistant varieties, as we said at the beginning. These varieties have naturally resistant to specific disease, so we can actually reduce the need of chemical products into the air and into the soil, and also we can cut. But when I say cut, I mean 70%, 90% cut the use of tractors and the use of machine into the vineyard. I think that is very important to promote a more sustainable and environmentally friendly approach to viticulture, and this is the kind of solution that we found.
Yeah, Giulia, I'm glad you talk about resistant varieties, because actually I also think that it's very important to prevent as much as possible all the factors that are actually making climate change quicker or even worse in some cases. And when I first, let's say, started to discover resistant varieties, I also found them very interesting, because basically they are even beyond organic in terms of soil consumption, and actually nowadays we talk a lot about minimum intervention, and resistant varieties are definitely working in this direction. So basically are varieties that are able to protect themselves. So basically the human intervention is kept to a very, very minimum level. So resistant varieties, or peewee varieties, have very deep roots with the story of Pravis. Currently, this is a very important topic in the world of wine, and we have very important scientists like Professor Scienza, for instance, that they are pushing a lot into this direction. And we cannot say the same for 20 years ago. So actually, the situation 20 years ago was completely different. Can you tell us why you decided to plant the first wines of this type of varieties, and why did you decide to go down this path that at the beginning was like very risky? And I think that probably some people thought that you were crazy doing that. So why you were so, from the very beginning, you were so committed to this kind of work?
Yeah, we planted our first PV vineyard, PV grapes, 22 years ago, when it was still completely unknown. Believe me, completely, even from other wine producers in the area or in Italy, completely unknown. Everyone looked at us like aliens, where we were trying to explain them our project. However, my father immediately recognized the viticulture and enological potential of this kind of grapes. The idea was born from a simple territorial reason. We live in Trentino. We live in a region where room for agriculture is becoming increasingly limited. Between mountains, lakes, towns, roads, and bike paths, the availability of plots for lands is very few. Over the years, there has been a growing focus on environmental concerns and human health, rightfully prohibiting phytosanitary treatments in the rural areas and further reducing cultivation possibilities. From our perspective, PV variety have become the only solution. By eliminating or reducing treatments, as I said, really reducing, including copper and sulfur, because what I realized over these 20 years is that 90% of the people, when you try to explain this project, they at the end they tell you, "Oh, you're bio." I said, "No, we are not bio. We cultivate PV. We are actually more than bio because we don't use even copper or sulfur. So we are, as our line is called, zero impact." So we actually minimize, as I said before, the use of agricultural machinery, and we came back. We did go back to cultivate in previously abandoned land. To give you an idea, one of these varieties, the Sauvigny Gris, for example, is cultivated next to a nursery school. I mean, what other variety, what other kind of agricultural space can have close to a nursery school? This is really amazing from my point of view.
Yeah, it really is. And it's so unfortunate that these kind of varieties are finding, let's say, some kind of resistance from the wine market. And I think as it's very clear reading the last book of Attilio Scienza, Wine and Prejudice, it's very clear that basically there is a part of the wine market that basically is trying to prevent these varieties to become more and more important. Maybe they're scared that they represent like some kind of threat or danger to the wine market. It's very, very difficult to move forward. And I think that one of the reasons why resistant varieties are still a niche is because a part of the wine industry, including wine producer, are very concerned that for the fact that these resistant varieties basically are hybrid varieties. You are not able to arrive at the same quality level of, let's say, the traditional varieties. And so when I first met you in Vinitaly 2022, I was very shocked to learn that actually not only you had been experimenting and working a lot with resistant varieties in the past 22 years, but also after many, many years of experience, trials and errors, you have been able to develop a lineup of 3 different wines from resistant varieties. Obviously, I'm talking about the lineup Naran, Zero Impact, and it is composed of 2 white and 1 sparkling wine. Can you tell us, so first of all, why did you decide to give to this range of wines this specific name? And how would you describe the 3 different wines in the Naran range, specifically in terms of style and characteristics?
Yeah, the name Naran actually comes from the location where our first PV grapes were planted. So it's actually a name of our location. And the wine line is called, as you said, Zero Impact, because it seemed to us that it was the most appropriate name, as it truly is Zero Impact. We have planted at the moment over 15 PV varieties. But currently, as you said, only 3 of them are available on the market, because with the others, we are still conducting microvinification. We have to do it. I mean, it's really important to do this microvinification and to do research, because I think that everybody can tell how potentially a Cabernet Sauvignon could be in 10 years. Chianti, Nero d'Avola, I don't know, a Sauvignon Blanc, you know how if this kind of wine is vocated to aging, or if it's not. But nobody used to know if a Bronner would be good in 20 years, or a Solaris could be drinkable in the next 7 years, or if the changing would be too strong. So microvinification with the others is crucial. As you said, we have 3. One sparkling one that is made with Ioniter grape variety, which is a fantastic grape for sparkling winemaking, because even at full phenolic maturity, it maintains a very high acidity. To give you an idea, when we harvest it, usually at the end of August, the seed is completely black, so full phenolic maturity, but it has 11 grams per liter of acidity, so actually perfect for the sparkling wine production. For the other 2, there are 2 still wines. We have Solaris and Sauvignon Gris. They have distinct aromatic profiles. Solaris, for example, is more citrusy, and it reminds a little bit of Riesling, which is part of the blood of this variety, while Sauvignon Gris has more tropical notes. But the interesting thing about these white PV grapes is that both are characterized by significantly higher polyphenol content compared to a regular white wine. Grape varieties, requiring a very delicate handling during winemaking. This is something that we learned after a few years. We press them so gentle, like doing it by hand. So this is the main difference.
Okay, and Giulia, you basically said that you have more than 15 different resistant varieties at the moment in your vineyards, but obviously you make wines only from 3 of them, and basically with the others you are still doing experiment, or let's say microvinification. Can you describe to our listeners a bit more in detail what do you mean with microvinification, and why it's so important to do that before actually releasing this kind of wines?
With microvinification, I mean that we do the wine as normal, so we harvested every year. We try to change the harvest time to see the difference between 1 week before and later, and we do it alone, and we bottle it, but we don't sell it. So we wait years and years. In this way, we can try it. We can try it in the bottle after 1 year, after 2 years, after 5 years, after 10 years. This in order to be able to say to the customers how is actually evolving, how is going on, what they have to expect from this kind of wine, and how the harvest did influence the quality of the final product. So, for example, with the Sauvignon Gris, took us 10 years to go out, because first we produce it without skin. Then we tried it to do a microvinification with skin contact inside the stainless steel tank, but we realized that the quantity of polyphenol naturally inside the skin was a little bit too high, and the wine was becoming bitter in the mouth. So we prefer to take the skin away. So, or little kind of, let's say, mistakes that we learned from them, and but they are crucial. I mean, you always have to learn, you always have to understand how they're becoming and what you're going to sell.
Well, I think this is amazing, because this is a very pragmatic approach, and I think it's fascinating because obviously you are discovering basically a new world, because as you mentioned, we don't have a chronological history of how this kind of varieties perform in 2, 3, 5, 7, 10, 20 years. And obviously it's amazing that you're doing this kind of work, because obviously it's clear that you are not only doing this for Pravis and your customers, but basically you are also helping the world of resistant varieties to move forward. Because I remember in Verona, you also mentioned that you have a very strict relationship also with the vivai that are actually creating the new varieties and the new clones. So basically, it's not that you're just doing this job to make sure that you have good wines to sell to your customer, but at the same time, so you are helping the research to move forward. Is that correct?
Correct, exactly. At the beginning, in fact, when we planted the grapes, we went to Freiburg before we planted it, and we asked to the research center to have these grapes, because we were fascinated by them and we wanted to plant them and to see, because we thought that it was the only solution to give a possibility to the agriculture. So we became a kind of how can I say, experimental center. So they used to send us the grapes, and we did give back to them like a kind of notes with all the changes, not just in the wine, but also in the vineyard, in the grapes, how it was going. So yes, we had this partnership. We have this partnership with the Freiburg Institute that really helped us a lot to start and to go on. 25 years ago was the only one. Now everybody, even Italians and producers of vines, are doing them. So now it's a little bit different, But at the beginning, we really started with the first one, so with the Freiburg Institute.
Well, it's I think the work you have been doing for the past 22 years, it's very, very important. And Giulia, obviously, I think that all the listeners notice that there aren't any red wines in the Naran zero impact range yet. When I met you in Verona, you told me that with the red varieties, you were having a bit more issues managing them and basically making very good quality wines. You also mentioned that you were still doing trials, experimenting, and you were not 100% happy with the final results. Yes. As of today, what is the situation in terms of red varieties? Red, obviously, peewee varieties. And are you actually optimistic about introducing a red wine in the Naran range anytime soon?
As you said, in our line there are no red grapes varieties, and I would say mainly for two reasons. Firstly, when we started our experimentation, the red grape varieties from Freiburg were restricted due to the production of secondary compounds. So we couldn't. This is something that we realized years later, but we couldn't actually produce wine from those grapes due to these compounds. However, this issue has been effectively resolved with the introduction of new clones. So now it's absolutely possible to produce wine from red peewee grapes with no problem. But the main thing is that red peewee varieties tend to still taste a little bit, allow me the word, wild. So two American notes are inside the wines. They're two they have too foxy taste. So this is something that are not into the consumer preferences. I think that there is still work to do, still work to be done in terms of refining the flavor and the characteristics of this red variety to better suit the taste of the consumer, because at the end we can produce the best wine, we can produce the best thing, but if nobody likes it, it's pointless. So yes, it's still a little bit too American taste. Let's say that. So we will see. We will see if we are going to add a red Naran to our line, but it's probably going to happen, but in few years.
Okay, Giulia, and obviously I just want to point out that when you were referring that the red wines from resistant varieties had American notes, was due to the fact because maybe not all the listeners know that the way that basically resistant varieties were born, as I mentioned, are hybrid varieties. So basically a cross between let's say the European vines, the traditional ones, and the American vines that obviously are the Vitis vinifera and the wild Vitis. Obviously, the American part is the part, and obviously, Giulia, correct me if I'm saying anything wrong, because obviously you know much more than me.
Don't worry.
So the American part is giving the resistance to disease and pathogens to the vines, but also is also the part that gives more wild and let's say less elegant and refined note to the final product. While obviously the European part of the resistant varieties is what gives the traditional elegance finesse that we know. Is my basically description correct?
Yeah, I just want to add that actually maybe it's not super clear. PV varieties are actually interspecific crosses. What it means? This means that they are obtained by crossing American or Asian vines, such as Vitis riparia, Vitis rupestris, or I don't know, Vitis amurensis from Asia, for example, with our Vitis vinifera. What's the point? American vines have indeed developed resistance to fungal diseases like peronospora, botrytis, oidium over the centuries, unlike our vinifera that, poor one, was unprepared when those diseases arrived. So it's not an immediate process to obtain Solaris. For example, there are more than 50 different varieties that are crossed. So it's really a long work to obtain the resistant. I want to underline the fact, because sometimes happen that people think about PV and think about OGM. They're not friends, okay? Not at all. They're just interspecific crosses between two different species. It's more common to know about crosses. So between two Vitis vinifera, like I don't know, here in Trentino we have a Rebo. Rebo is Merlot cross Teroldego. Okay, so two different kind of red varieties, but both from the vinifera species. In this case, we have two different species. That's why interspecific crosses. I don't know if I was clear.
Yeah. No, thank you, Giulia. I think you actually made this very clear. And as you mentioned, I think in the world of wine we are very used to the word cross, because we have a lot of varieties, even important varieties that are a cross of two different varieties within the Vitis vinifera species. What makes the resistant varieties so special is the fact that they are cross between two different species, and this is what gives naturally resistance to the final variety. So, Giulia, we are reaching the end of our conversation. I think we could actually discuss about resistant varieties for hours and hours, but I want also to leave a bit of time in the end to some questions, if we have any questions. So I have very quickly, two last questions that I always like to ask to producer when I do this kind of fireside chats. So the first one is wine communication, obviously, is a very hot topic right now. I think that to some extent we are at a crossroad where wine producers are trying to find the best and the most effective way to share as much as possible of their values with the final consumers without overcomplicating things. At Pravis, I think we can say that you have always given very high relevance to international markets and to the export business. And I just wanted to ask you, Giulia, from your direct experience, what are the three most important words or adjectives to be used when communicating and promoting Italian wine abroad?
What I think that nowadays, good wine is indeed produced in many countries around the world. So, my opinion, to stand out, we need to emphasize what we are. We are in Italy. We need to everybody to know our enological history, the enological history of our country, the incredible number of indigenous grape variety that we have. Nobody else have something like that, and the remarkable pedoclimatic diversity that characterize our land. So definitely history, number of indigenous varieties, and pedoclimatic diversity, I would say.
Yeah, actually, Giulia, I totally agree because I think that the level of diversity that we have in Italy, combining the number of grape varieties, microclimates, and even soils, because from northern Italy to southern Italy we have many different types of soil. Combining these three different variables, we reach an incredible number of different wines and styles of wine. So I agree with you. It is by far the most important thing to underline when describing Italian wine. In my experience, personally, I also found that this is also the most difficult part. So at the same time, it's like a strength and potentially a weakness, because on one end, obviously, we have this great diversity, and on the other end, for some wine consumers abroad, around the world, it might be very difficult to understand Italian wine, especially if they have never been to Italy, because obviously we cannot assume that everyone is very familiar to let's say the type of climates we have in central Italy or in Sicily or in Trentino, because maybe in the export markets there are a lot of people that have never visited Italy. So have you found in the past any issues trying to describe, let's say, your region, so where Trentino is and the different varieties? Or have you found normally that wine consumers looking for your wines are already have already a level of knowledge that is quite good?
No, for sure, I found many problems talking about Trentino, because if in particular abroad, when I don't know, talking about US, for example, average people think about Italian wines and they think about Barolo and Chianti. That's it. So when I explain to them, I always need to do a kind of geographical introduction. When I say Trentino is in the middle between Dolomites and Garda Lake, and then they understand. So it's not easy to to promote the region abroad. That's for sure. And even the varieties that we have, we have some very, very big winery in Trentino, and the problem is that what they do just international varieties such as Pinot Grigio and Merlot. So everyone think that Trentino is famous for Pinot Grigio, but it's not, because Trentino is actually beautiful region with many indigenous varieties and a lot of potential for other varieties. So that's the main problems that I found myself in abroad.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that I would say abroad the wine knowledge of consumers abroad when it comes to Italian wine is focused mainly on 3 to 5 wine regions, and then you need to obviously spend a lot of time describing the other regions and their characteristics. So I think we have reached the end of our chat. I have one very last question for you, Giulia. So I give you 3 options. 1, web and social media. 2, PR and press. And 3, wine tourism and hospitality. So if you as a company director, you were given enough resources, let's say both in terms of time and money. So don't think about money. You are giving enough time and money to do whatever you want. But you could invest only in one of these 3 marketing channels. Where you would invest your time and resources, and why?
Okay, without a doubt, I definitely choose wine tourism. Really, 100%. I believe that it's the best way to educate consumers, to make them perceive and understand what lies behind a bottle on a shelf. Because, wine is not a beverage. Wine is history, is culture, is hard work, is terroir. And this concept needs to be known. And I believe that there is no better way to do it than with wine tourism. Visitors can immerse themselves in the viticultural environment, explore vineyards, observe the work of winemakers and producers, and even participate in guided tasting sometimes. This tangible experience really enable consumer to develop a deeper connection with wine, understanding its production process and appreciating the dedicated work and passion that goes into each bottle of wine. Wine tourism is becoming really a bridge between the producer and the consumer, allowing the transmission of knowledge, experience, and stories that might otherwise not be fully understood or appreciated. So it's a thing that is really an opportunity that needs to be considered and valorized.
Yeah, Giulia, I think that basically, I think this is very linked to what we said before about maybe some issues that there are currently describing lesser known regions of Italy, and I think yes. The answer is not, taking any shortcut or any easy path. The only thing is to invest a lot in making sure that more and more people are coming to to visit the different wine regions and wine producers. And when they go back to their own country, they will start basically becoming small Italian wine ambassador, because they will demand their national importers to get the wines they discovered when they were abroad. So I agree. It's a very long path and difficult path to follow, but I think that yes, wine tourism and hospitality is by far the most effective way to have very good result in the long term for Italian wine. So this was my very last question. Thank you very much, Giulia. And Laika, over to you if there are any other questions from the audience or if you have questions yourself.
Okay,
Thank you, Michele.
Thank you so much, Giulia and Michele. It was really well prepared, and you guys really prepared for this Clubhouse. So that's really amazing and really appreciate it. And I'm sure it's really worth a listen. We've recorded it, and it will be up on Italian Wine Podcast around June 15 on Thursday at in the morning around 8 a.m. So, yes, thank you so much for your time. And guys, for those who are listening in, do you have any questions for Giulia? We still have a minute. So maybe if you have any questions, you can raise your hand. Okay, so, all right. So we don't have any questions at the moment. But if you have any questions in the future, you can reach out to Giulia, or you can reach out to Italian Wine Podcast, info@italianwinepodcast.com, and then we're going to forward the questions to Giulia. All right, so before I wrap up, I want to say that our next Clubhouse is going to be next week. It's going to be on June 15 at 5:30 p.m. Italian time zone. So Bella Ma, she's our Italian wine ambassador from Hong Kong, will be interviewing Luca Rowagna. So that's going to be next week. All right, so that's it. Thank you so much, Michele and Giulia. And yeah, have a good weekend, guys.
Thank you, Laika. Thank you, Giulia.
You.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Once again, here we go.
Swirl, sniff, sip, spiff. While you drink, don't forget these tasting tips.
Listen to the Italian Wine Podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Himalaya FM, and more. Don't forget to subscribe and rate the show. If you enjoy listening, please consider donating through ItalianWinePodcast.com. Any amount helps cover equipment, production, and publication costs. Until next time, cin cin.